Now, for about the past 30 or 40 years, I've been studying dissent in various fields, and ultimately ended up talking to probably hundreds of whistleblowers, and it covers a whole range of fields, everything. You've got police, you've got public servants, you've got private sector, teachers, and including the health sector. So what I've got to say today, I'll focus on healthcare, but the issues, the same dynamics occur nearly everywhere. So first, a few things to ask you. All right. So there's an issue in a hospital. Another issue. So the question is, for each of these and lots of others, what would you do? Now, I won't ask for responses, but I'm going to lay out 5 possibilities. Okay. I'm going to go through these 5 possibilities systematically. So that's like an overview of what's going to happen. And there's 5 roles for these 5 possibilities, the 5 options. So the first one is being a participant. And we forget about this. We think, everyone here thinks, no, I'll never do that. And I'm not going to go into detail. This is not a coaching session for being a participant. The second one is the bystander, the person who doesn't get involved. They're not a participant, but they also don't do anything about it. It's been called cowardice already today. But we shouldn't assume that this is always something to be condemned. There are lots of issues in the world. There's all sorts of injustices going on in the world, and we cannot deal with all of them. We have to choose our battles, and therefore, being a bystander, sometimes yes, and you have to choose when to do something about it. Now, the third one is being a whistleblower. And whistleblower, much more in the news. I'm involved in Whistleblowers Australia. We talked to loads and loads of whistleblowers, and I'm going to go through to say why this is often not a good option. So let's look. We can even start with the terminology, but just a few ideas about whistleblowing that are not so familiar. A lot of people call it daubing, and actually it's different. Daubing is usually about someone at the same level, or maybe at a lower level. Whistleblowing is usually about problems with someone higher up. A lot of whistleblowers, people who said, I was just doing my job, and suddenly the world dropped on them. So I'd say probably somewhere around half, plus or minus 25%, of whistleblowers never set out to be a whistleblower. Many of them are conventional. They're the conscientious sort of worker that you'd like to have on board. They believe the system works. That's why they blow the whistle, because they think something will be done. Got whistleblower laws have been around for 20 years, most jurisdictions in Australia. My conclusion is they almost never work. And likewise, all the official procedures, whether it's ombudsman or auditor general or anti-corruption commissions, they do sometimes do something worthwhile, but in so many cases they don't. So just a few examples of key whistleblowers in the Australian health system, or affecting the health of Australians. Fred Golson worked for a tobacco company, and they had a data retention policy which meant destroying documents showing criminality by the tobacco companies. And so he's not as famous as the star of the film The Insider, but he's also one of the important ones. Cynthia Cardell worked in a hospital for 20 years, and then she spoke out about an appointment she thought was inappropriate, and this led to the longest running case in the New South Wales Industrial Court. She was vindicated, they appealed, she couldn't afford it, she settled, and she then retrained as a lawyer, and she's now president of Whistleblowers Australia. Very long story. Jean Linnane worked for the New South Wales Health Department. She spoke out about the lack of funding for mental health services. So what happened? She lost her job. But being a psychiatrist, she had an advantage. She could survived through private practice, and she was involved in the foundation of Whistleblowers Australia. Now, what happens to whistleblowers? Got these, I'm just going to go through these very quickly. There's 5 things that go on. First is a cover-up. So there's all sorts of things. This way, one of the problems with blowing the whistle, you speak out. Oh, they know someone's onto us, so they start destroying the evidence, and they cut you off from all further information. So it's very nasty business. Cover-up's one of the crucial things. Now, we've already heard today about what happens, the attacks on the whistleblower. Denigration is a mild term, but we got the rumors. A lot of whistleblowers are referred to psychiatrists. It's a humiliation ritual, as well as a method of forcing workers out of the workplace. You get tame psychiatrists who certify them as insane, then they get sacked. And then there's sometimes public attacks, even in Parliament. Okay, now there's also a process of reinterpretation. The whistleblower says there's a problem that needs to be investigated. I don't know whether for sure what's going on, but please investigate it. So what do the others say? They say you're doing it because you're a disturbed sort of person, and these reprisals are because you're an incompetent worker and you've done the wrong thing, you violated procedures, all those sort of things. So we've got the story that the whistleblower is presenting, but you've got a set of contrary stories by the employer. And then there's the official channels. It's all of those things, everything from grievance procedures up through courts. Call all of those official channels, going to politicians. Official channels give the appearance of providing justice, and in many cases, way too many cases, it's only a sham appearance. It's a false appearance. There's no real justice. It actually gets the wrong way around. Now, official channels are a bad idea for a lot of reasons. They often don't respond. They're very, very slow. They make superficial investigations. I don't blame these official channels. A lot of these people are doing the best they can, but the constraints they work under are absolutely impossible. And so Independent Commission Against Corruption here in New South Wales can only deal with 2 to 3% of the things that come its way. So that means that something like 49 out of 50 whistleblowers will be disappointed because things won't be investigated. And they take a long time, and they focus on technicalities. They don't focus on justice, they focus on the law or the regulations and so forth. So this is why research shows that probably 90% of the time whistleblowers are dissatisfied with the response of official channels. And finally, there's intimidation, which we've already heard described today in a number of cases. And it's a very sorry sort of story what goes on. So these are the 5 usual responses to whistleblowers, and if you know what's going to happen, these are the sort of things you do. You go public rather than reporting internally. The people inside are the least sympathetic. The people on the outside who have no vested interests are likely to be most sympathetic. It's very hard to sound calm when you're angry and frustrated, but that's what's needed to do it. And stick to the main message. Don't get carried off on side issues. And going public is more effective, whereas if the formal processes are not likely to be helpful. And then there's the intimidation. So reduce vulnerability. That's all sort of standard sort of stuff. And Andrew Wilkie is probably the most effective person, best example of doing this, because instead of reporting his concerns about the accuracy of information about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, he went public immediately. He avoided all the reprisals. He lost his job, he lost his career, but he came out far more effective than most 99% of whistleblowers. Okay, now we'll just go back to this. This is a very, very hard road. I can only find probably Andrew Wilkie was successful in having an impact, but he lost his career. I only know one whistleblower who ever actually was effective and didn't get done over. That was somebody who was already retired, public servant, working in a voluntary capacity, so reprisals couldn't do very much. And even then it took a really hard time. So even though I'm in Whistleblowers Australia, basically someone contacts us, I say, They say, I'm thinking of blowing the whistle. I say, don't do it. Don't do it unless you prepare, and work out that it's actually a good option. Except most people blow the whistle first. They don't contact us. That's the trouble. Probably 95% of the people that contact us have already blown the whistle. They've already suffered reprisals, and they've already gone to all sorts of agencies and found that they don't work. That's why I can say this with confidence. So the fourth role is the leaker. Is a different role. We know this from Julian Assange. He wasn't a leaker, but he set up a leaking system. We know about Edward Snowden and Chelsea Manning. So you got famous leakers. I'll go to the Daniel Ellsberg on the Pentagon Papers back during the Vietnam War. Chelsea Manning, who revealed the collateral damage video and so forth, all sorts of war logs, and Snowden, who revealed massive surveillance of populations around the world. So these are famous leakers, but actually they're unusual because most leakers do not get caught. Most of them leak, no one figures out who did it, and they continue in the system in their jobs. We don't hear about them. Why not? Because they didn't get caught. They didn't go public. But very few ones. The leaker who brought down Richard Nixon as president, he went public decades later. So what's the advantage of leaking? Not as much chance of reprisals. Okay, it's great. And thing is, you stay on the job, you're not cut off from information, you continue to collect information, and you can leak it again if necessary. And the other advantage is, rather than the reprisals, meaning the focus is on the whistleblower, in this case, you don't know who the person is, there's more attention on the issue itself. Not always, and they say, who's the leaker and so forth. However, there are some disadvantages. A whistleblower has the credibility of who they are, the fact that they're standing up to corruption and so forth. Whereas leaks, we don't know who they are. They might be false and so forth. And from the point of view of employers, leaked information, can cause problems, and trust at the workplace can be damaged. But I'd say anything fairly serious, I would always recommend leaking. I would. But then there's the change agent or activist, which is another role. And I'm going to take you back to, actually, I could go into detail about this, but basically, if you've got campaigning groups on the outside of an organization, if there's a health campaign group or a campaign group concerned about financial fraud and so forth, the leaker combined with the activists is the most powerful combination. The person on the inside has the information. Those on the outside can speak out without fear because they're just ordinary citizens, and it's a very powerful combination. So we go to the three cases I brought you originally. This was a case, radiotherapy patients hadn't received enough radiation, and the story here is Lottie Fogg. She didn't go public initially. She fought the case, and very long whistleblowing case, which is all written up, but she eventually left the country. She's living in Germany. But she's one of the more successful cases I've seen. Then there's the health products company, and so you've got, I've forgotten his name, but anyway, there's a whole bunch of people who are whistleblowers within the pharmaceutical industry showing massive fraud going on, and they get, Peter Rost is one of them who's spoken out about what goes on. I think it's Peter Rost, and he wrote a book all about it, Confessions of a Healthcare Hitman. And finally, health insurance. There's massive fraud in health insurance. And my PhD student, Kathy Flynn, wrote her thesis on this. And basically during the 1970s, within the health insurance, basically the oversight body, a bunch of whistleblowers wanted to get some action done. They leaked to the media, back in the days before social media, leaked to the mass media on a continuing basis. They got something done, but basically the problem overruled it. But they were more effective because they were leakers. They could stay in the job, continuing to feed information, and they had the media on their side. So the 5 roles, I've said, you're not going to get involved in various ways, but be very careful before you blow the whistle. Instead, consider leaking or working in an action group. And there's a little bit of hope for the future. We've named whistleblowing. Didn't used to even have that term. Whistleblower laws may not work, but they raise expectations. There's a lot more information. We've got the internet now, and support groups such as Whistleblowers Australia, but a number of others do exist. So I think things are improving. We hear about more problems. It's because more people are speaking out. Thank you very much.